For some time now, government has been calling for the diversification of the economy from copper dependence to other sectors such as agriculture. Young people have heeded to this cause. However, these young people are faced with numerous challenges such as the high interest lending rates and lack of startup capital to venture into agricultural activities. Today on News in Depth, we look at young people in agriculture and what stakeholders such as government are putting in place to support young people with an interest to venture into agriculture. I'm your host, Masauso Mukwayaya. Stay tuned. Zambia's economic standing has for a long time rested on mining activities. It is said the country's infrastructure and general welfare is built and paved from copper sales. However, stakeholders have for a long time noticed that the mining wheels that have been moving different sectors in the country are slowly wearing out. Experts say this is because minerals that are the main product in mining are a wasting asset. In simpler terms, mining activities come with a shelf life and are thus not sustainable to the country's economic prosperity. In order to counter and prepare for this imminent and natural phenomenon, which will one day come to an end, diversification of the economy from copper dependence to agriculture has been tipped to be a better and sustainable option. However, it is important to note that the diversification talk is as old as the country itself. Proponents of diversification are saddened that the social scale, weighing the number of pronouncements made by authorities, does not tally with their level of commitment to diversify the economy.
I've been on record to say that diversification will ever remain a song and a repeated song like a broken record if we don't work on the markets and if we don't work on the input sector. The structure of our market is not so well organized. The input sector is not very well organized for diversification. We need to ensure that we understand what does the consumer want. By the way, a lot of Zambians have been going for these products from outside because they look appealing. We understand what the consumer wants, and then we manage our markets, both input and output markets, to supply that which the consumer would like to eat and consume. If we do that, then the potential that exists in our young people in Zambia, we are going to harness it, and our young people will make the money that they will need to make out of agriculture.
Nonetheless, calls to diversify the economy in a conservative country like Zambia, mostly housing more young people than any other age group, may not be well received. This is because agriculture in Zambia has for a long time been stereotypically regarded as a dirty profession, mostly done by old people and retirees. Most young people in the country dream of securing other somewhat prestigious careers such as medicine. Perhaps this is because societal norms suggest that white-collar jobs are more lucrative and fancied, especially by young people. However, Tamara Kaunda, a 27-year-old trained medical doctor, has defied the Zambian career societal norms by hanging a stethoscope to venture into agriculture.
It came with the desire and the passion to eradicate poverty. Yeah, when I came back from China after my medical training, I went to UTH, and then I saw how people were dying, how many patients were in the hospitals, and then I came to realize that the root cause of so many patients in the hospital was actually due to poverty. It's not like, it was not like really people were sick, but yes, they were sick, but what caused so many patients and so many premature deaths in the hospitals was because, as a result of poverty. So I said to myself, how well can I help my country?
Tamara, who is the granddaughter to first Republican President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, quit her medical trade in 2015. Years before that, her dream was to obviously walk between hospital walls attending to patients. But now, the young natural-looking medical doctor spends majority of her time at her new office, mostly dotted with cultivated fertile land and greenhouses housing various varieties of seedlings. Tamara says she decided to hang her medical coat to take up gumboots because she wanted to take a lead in igniting a revolution that will see young people taking pivotal roles in agriculture.
It was merely a call to develop this nation, because I thought if I'm in the hospital getting paid, working, I go to the young people, look, go into agriculture and start producing. They're not going to listen to me because reason being, if you go and tell someone, look, this can work, but you're not doing it, they're not going to listen to you. And for the young people, it's all about the practical part of it. If you are doing it, they can listen to you. So right now, when I say, oh, guys, I'm a medical doctor, but I'm into farming, they'll be like, oh, wow, this is a high-paying job. But how come she has left it? There must be something in this sector that she's following that we cannot actually go into it. So that's how come I went to this sector. It's interesting, it's nice, and there's money in it.
Tamara specializes in tomato seedlings. When asked how much she makes every month, Tamara was reluctant to open up, saying young people would get excited without realizing how much work goes in. But after pushing further, she revealed that she makes about 170,000 kwacha every month.
Well, I think it depends on the customer base. Well, I can say like the money is there, because sometimes if you mention figures, some youths might be too excited and then they end up failing. So what I can say that the best thing right now to advise the youth is just start something. You know, when you mention figures, some are going to be super excited, but they don't know what it takes to grow.
For the sake of our viewers,
yes,
roughly how much are you making?
Okay, so I think for this greenhouse, you can say it's about 179,000 plus. Yeah, when it's full, yes.
That's per month?
That's, yeah, they can say roughly per month, yeah. But also, this is just like when you make sales, but there are also other expenses. So, yeah, we're still in infancy, so everything has to go back to their investment.
Notwithstanding the archaic thinking that tags agriculture to retirees, some young people are surprisingly taking up farming as a career choice. The Young Emerging Farmers Initiative, YEFI, is a movement of young people that seeks to encourage youths to take up agriculture and treat it as a business. The initiative is comprised of over 5,000 young people across 6 provinces.
This is an initiative, an indigenous initiative, which was started by youths from just within Zambia, from just here, the University of Zambia, where we came together and realized to say that how do we really contribute in one or the other as young people, and which sector can we actually go into, and realize the ripple effect that the sector has. So it's that kind of revolution where we really said, but initially it has been the mindset of when you go to the university or you go to college, you really have to go and look for employment. But it's now that mindset change where we're saying to say that can we inculcate entrepreneurship among we ourselves as youths, where you start up something for your own self, which will create your own employment. Then at the end of the day, you have your own income. Then when that work really grows and blossoms, then you really have an helping hand, which will create employment. And at the end of the day, you are trying to really develop in one way or the other to the development of your nation.
The Ministry of Agriculture has revealed that it has also noticed an increase in young people's participation in agriculture. Arising from that, the ministry has put in place various interventions to create an enabling environment for young people in agriculture.
The emphasis right now is moving from just talking about agriculture as it were to agriculture being a business. And in this aspect right now, what we are really trying to emphasize on is an aspect of whenever you are thinking of agriculture in the limelight of farming, all we are talking about mainly is value addition, where when we engage into doing something, it has to start from production all the way up to marketing, up to consumption. So various players have to be involved within the value chain, and it is for that point that we really emphasize that the youths have to be involved. And it is for this reason, therefore, that the Ministry of Agriculture in particular has various institutions which it has put in place where youths are trained in various agricultural technologies.
In as much as farming is regarded as the oldest profession in the history of mankind, the success of it requires one to have some technical know-how on how to go about various things related to the trade. The National Resources Development College, NRDC, located in Lusaka, is one of the many institutions training students in different agriculture disciplines. The college reviewed that green courses are on demand.
Agriculture courses are now very attractive. Of late, we've seen the numbers increasing. Late 1990s, we used to have about 500 applicants, but of late we're getting more than 3,000 applicants per year.
Despite agriculture courses being on demand at the institution, the college's training infrastructure and facilities are dilapidated. For instance, these greenhouses located in the farm fields of the college are now a mere shell of what they were. The tents covering the greenhouses are all torn. The only thing holding them together are these rusty steel poles. The students who are supposed to be using these facilities to prepare themselves to inherit the mainstream agriculture sector are saddened by this broken down state of affairs.
I would like the government to actually fund a lot of money in this agriculture institution, because most of the times, if you look at the practical part, when you come to the farm, there are a lot of equipments that are missing. And we just learn about them in theory. We don't even know how they look and how to use them. So I think I would love the government to actually fund in a lot of money in this institution so that we improve in the agriculture practical part.
It starts from me. If we are able to acquire the skill and knowledge, we'll be the ones now to offer extension knowledge to the farmers that do not know. We'll be there to take up the technical know-how and deliver it to the students, or maybe the outsiders that do not know much about farming. So it is very much important that the government and other stakeholders should invest in agriculture, because it is from here that once you gain the skills and knowledge, you'll be able to deliver even to the outsiders.
A lot of things motivated me. I looked at our country. I looked at how our country depends more on copper, and I just said to myself, I said agriculture is the best way to go, because then we can help our country grow. We can stop depending on many things.
If supported, the college has the potential to fend for its needs through agriculture. While filming for this documentary at the Great East Road campus, a number of women were spotted harvesting healthy-looking green beans in a small field. When asked the destination of the green beans, the women, who refused to speak on camera, informed this reporter that the green beans were ordered by a named international chain store. It is worth noting that if more effort is put in, the college can make money for itself while sticking to its core business of training people in different agricultural aspects. However, the Ministry of Agriculture has hinted that modern training infrastructure is in the pipeline on its way to NRDC. Ministry of Agriculture Deputy Director for Crops Production, Alik Daka, says the college will soon be turned into a center of excellence.
The equipment that is there isn't enough. Yes, it isn't, but of course there are deliberate policies that the government is putting in place. Right now, I would tell you that through the American government, there is an initiative that they wish to come up with, whereby they want to put the Natural Resource Development College, NRDC, to be the focal point institution where horticulture matters will be done. It will be a center of excellence in Zambia. I think it will be the second center of excellence in Africa. One is in West Africa, and the government of America would like to ensure that NRDC also becomes a center of excellence for Zambia in terms of horticulture. And it is really intended that they will put up modern infrastructure.
NRDC has also bemoaned the caliber of pupils enrolling at the college. Simon Zimba, the vice principal at the college, says most students who enroll at the institution have no background in agriculture studies. He has since suggested that making agriculture science compulsory at secondary schools will help create a cadre of learners with basic understanding of the agriculture sector.
Most of them are just ordinary grade 12s. What happens is that when they come here, they are first of all introduced to A levels. So all of them are taken into agriculture courses, though they did not do agriculture at the secondary school. But preferably, it would be good that agriculture science should be compulsory at grade 12 level. But of late, we're getting that most of the schools they're dropping agriculture because of facilities at secondary schools.
And the Ministry of General Education says it is already working at making agriculture science compulsory in schools. Minister of General Education Dennis Wanchinga says all learners from early childhood to grade 9 will be required to take agriculture science.
We are now going to make the teaching of agriculture a compulsory subject from early childhood to grade 9, so that everybody can walk away with some skills of how to grow cabbage, how to grow this, how to look after the chicken and so forth. And we shall only make it optional from grade 10, 11 and 12. So it is part of this, it's part of our objective to visit institutions to assess these facilities, because we know how important they are.
10 miles from Lusaka Central Business District is Tuzwini Farms. The farm is a leafy and fertile area producing a commodity that has become to be known as the red gold in agriculture parlance. Maria Zalomis, 32, tucked in thick erect tomato plants taller than her, is behind this green mine. Here she takes time to harvest some ripe tomatoes, plucking off pieces of her hard-earned success in form of a bountiful yield. Maria's entry into farming was after completion of her education in Australia, returning to the family farm that only had half a hectare of tomatoes and an ailing father unable to manage it. Armed with a few savings from her school days and her parents' 40-hectare land, Maria set out on the agriculture path with only one goal: to succeed.
I'm the type of woman who always wants a challenge, so I needed a change in my life. Also, it's the business side of things. I've got a very entrepreneurial mind. You know, being in medicine and nursing and all that you're working for someone, you're not working for yourself. So I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to give life to other people. You know, I put a lot of food on people's tables because of what we're doing. We feed the nation. We're feeding Zambia. We're also feeding close to Angola. So we're feeding everyone.
Maria has managed to expand her operations from half a hectare of tomatoes to 13 hectares, from which she harvests between 250 and 400 boxes every day.
On a given day, we harvest about 250 boxes to 400 boxes of tomato. I rotate fields just because of my spraying schedules. Tomato now is buying for 50 kwacha a box, so you do the maths. I'm not going to say how much exactly, but if you multiply 50 by 250, you get about, I think it's maybe about 10,000 kwacha, so 25 by 5, I don't know, 5 by 5, 25, 2 by 5, 10 plus 2, so about 125, so 12,500 kwacha to be precise. Now that's give or take for damages and cracks. The tomatoes get graded in different varieties, so I'll say about 8,000 to 10,000 kwacha depending on the market at Soweto. Our tomato always goes. It depends on quality as well. I don't compromise on quality, but take into mind that, you know, when you're making that money, it's not only for you. You're spending it on chemicals. You're spending it on fertilizer. I need to pay my workers.
Despite the sector being lucrative, young farmers seeking to expand their activities may need access to external sources of income to splash into their agriculture activities. But such incentives don't seem to be readily available. Tamara Kaunda says if young people are to fully take up farming at the expense of other seemingly lucrative careers, a favorable environment needs to be created. She says interest rates to get funding for various agricultural equipment, such as tractors, are way too high.
I think there should be a deliberate move to finance youth in agriculture. I think I haven't seen that. Like this project, if what the finances that we needed would have expanded by now, maybe we should be talking of 10, 20 greenhouses. But I think they are so reluctant to finance youth in agriculture, and the young farmers are not really heard by the government. So I think there should be a deliberate move to finance youth in agriculture. That's going to attract the young people to get into this sector. We look at Kenya, the young people in Kenya, they are thriving in this sector because the government actually supports them. There are deliberate moves like, they finance them, they're able to, access finance. Right now, if I went to the bank and say, I need 100,000 kwacha, the bank will think twice because one, they don't trust me as a young person. Two, they don't think agriculture actually makes that much money.
The Ministry of Finance is reportedly working on a $20 million guarantee fund, which it hopes to float to various commercial banks in order for them to effectively support farming activities in the country. The Ministry of Finance was, however, not available for a comment by broadcast time. Meanwhile, the National Small-Scale Farmers Union of Zambia has also bemoaned the low access to finance for young people.
Access to finance is still a challenge for the young people. If funds are made available, they can supply much more than what we are seeing in this outlet. The young people are ready, they are still energetic. All that is required is provide them with business development services to be able to know how to handle this money, how to handle the production systems themselves, because some of them are very new, they don't know what to do in agriculture, and then how to package these products, how to meet with those that will buy and eventually sell to consumers. This is what they need, what is required.
However, the Bankers Association of Zambia, BAZ, says banks in the country have a lot of products and services meant for young people in agriculture. BAZ indicated that young people finding it difficult to access services from banks should feel free to approach the association.
Banks have put in place, they are supporting agriculture in various ways. First of all, the government through the Ministry of Finance has set aside a guarantee fund of about $20 million. So this is supposed to go towards supporting the growth of the agriculture sector. And I would like to believe that even young people will be part of, because government's vision is for development for all, including the young people. So as soon as this guarantee fund is up and running, we as a banking sector are ready to continue supporting the agriculture sector in line with government's vision. But outside that, we also have banks that are directly supporting agriculture. There are banks that are involved in dairy farming. There are banks that are involved in funding of growing crops such as cash crops such as tomatoes and all. And also for banks, we are actually working on together with the government of Zambia, we are working towards moving what we call the immovable asset collateral, meaning that we'll see a situation whereby in the agriculture sector, farmers, especially the SMEs and the emerging farmers, can pledge their animals as collateral.
And the Ministry of Agriculture says some young people struggle to access funding because they prefer to work in isolation.
As a ministry, is that they need to get into groups, form cooperatives, and it is through such whereby they can be able to access a good market for whatever they produce, and also at the same time be able to access loans from, example, lending institutions such as banks. But what you find is that where you went perhaps was that each youth would want to stand on their own and try to do things on their own. It is through such that whereby even institutions of lending, such as banks, if they were approached, they would normally ask them to say, do you belong to any institution? What kind of collateral do you have? Because individually you might find that this person, perhaps depending on whatever enterprise they are doing, they don't have any collateral, and as such they would not even be able to access anything from the bank.
On the other hand, Maria Zalomis, a trained nurse and cardiologist who has now taken up farming, has advised young people in employment but with an interest in agriculture to just save some money and not always think of getting loans before venturing into agriculture.
Because if you have a 9-to-5 job and you want to get into farming, the best thing to do is to save, if you can. Save up, downscale your life, which I did. I downscaled my life a lot. I cut out a lot of things and I started saving. After I saved a certain amount of money, I also saved from the field. So what I did was I kept up all the capital from the field, all the revenue, and I used it to expand. That's how, and I've been doing that constantly. So I'm not on a salary. I haven't seen any money from this tomato because I'm constantly expanding.
Chiluba Kunda, also a trained medical doctor, is Tamara's fiancé. The two young doctors, trained in China, do business together. Chiluba, who is the son to the late former Vice President George Kunda, says land is the most important resource in agriculture. He has, however, called on young people to move out of their comfort zones in urban areas and look for farmland in the outskirts.
My suggestion to the young people is that let them take a bit of time, especially when they have the time on the weekends. Let them go out into the outskirts. There's really a whole different aspect of life here in the outskirts, you know. It's not just that life is there in town, no. There's a lot that they can do out here.
The Young Emerging Farmers Initiative has also challenged young people to get rid of their negative attitude that suggests that they can only prosper in urban areas.
It's the issue of the mindset. Can any youth be accepted in the urban area to just move away from the urban and go to a rural setup? You know, there is that issues of the tag and issues of the mind. No, I'm used to moors and the like. So that's why, as Young Emerging Farmers Initiative, we've realized to say that despite all the environment that the government will try to really do, or the challenges that youths will try to really make, at the end of the day, it's the issue of the mind. If we can really change our mindset, we can really start seeing the advantage of taking up those things. I've already said it, and I even know it. Getting land in the urban area, it's a cumbersome kind of situation, and it's quite hard. Even difficult, I can say it. But when we try to explore possible opportunities that are being created, even to move away, when we talk of land away, just some few kilometers away from here to Chongwe, you'll find land is easily accessible. You might not just get it, there is customary land. When you really share your plan, your vision to the very gentlemen, to the chiefs and the like, I don't think they can be that naive to really fail to really give you land.
For the young people already in agriculture, a market is available at some international chain stores operating in the country. One such store is Food Lovers Market. The store says a deliberate policy to stock local products has been put in place. It says local farmers are the bloodline of its existence.
Local is Laka, and we are here to empower the local farmers. That's one of the most important things that we also look, because we are here to coverage the farmers. We go in as far as Chisamba, across the nation, to look for the small-scale farmers that are bringing good quality product. And that's what we stand for, because we understand that without local, we cannot survive as Food Lovers Market Levy Junction.
To further enhance the market for young people, Maria has appealed to government to come up with central places in different provinces where young farmers will take their produce for sale.
The government needs to create training and skills for these young people, as well as make agri-tech centers where they create a market. So they create a center where these farmers take their produce there. It's classed into grade A, B, C, or D. These farmers are then paid for their produce as they deliver. And all the big chain stores, Food Lovers, Pick and Pay, ShopRite, Choppies, come and get their produce from there. So it's a fair playing board for everyone.
Dr. Kayola, the Director General of Small Scale Farmers Union of Zambia, has noted that lack of cold storage facilities in the country is frustrating trade in the agriculture sector.
We need a cold chain facility in this country. It is not available. At the moment, we are having storage facilities for grains almost all over. What about for the vegetables? Something has to be done.
Young people are no doubt the most energetic sect in the country. And if they are to favorably contribute to the growth of the agriculture sector, it is incumbent that they embrace other hands-on careers such as agriculture. Agriculture in Zambia has been tipped to be the major contributor to Zambia's economic growth. However, this would take collective effort. Thank you so much for being part of this week's edition of News in Depth, where we have been looking at young people in agriculture and what stakeholders are doing to support the growth of this seemingly lucrative sector. Next week, join Macpherson Mukuka as he looks at the housing deficit in the country. I have been your host, Masauso Mukwayaya. Pleasant viewing.